All right, and down here at the bottom right-hand corner of Entombed Valley, we have our Green Terran player, Representative Acer. It is Hydra throwing out the good luck. His opponent in the top left-hand corner, though, winner of the last 2 games in a row, our Teal Protoss player from Eclipsia is Wellmu.
Yep, and I gotta say, I've not seen Hydra play a whole lot, so I'm kind of curious to see what he decides to do this game. And maybe he's not Hydra for Hydralisk. Maybe he's Hydra for the many-headed creature in mythology that, you cut off one head, another to grow in its place. That can describe, like, extreme Terran drop play, I suppose.
That's true.
Kill one, drop,
Marine
2 more
King
medevacs
style.
come into your third. It's possible.
That also gives me nightmares, much less the skeleton that pops out of the evolution chamber. Yes.
True.
Multiple drops. Make me want to cry.
Well, it is cross positions, so we'll have to see. I mean, I have to imagine that's probably a bit of what Hydra was kind of thinking when he picked this map, too, is that it is a good map for drop play. You can kind of hop in on your opponent's bases from multiple angles. There's a relatively wide open area in the middle of the map, too, so the AoE that Protoss has isn't quite as good.
And we've seen Wellmu handle 2 Zerg players, but what does his PvT look like right now?
Yeah.
And certainly a question that's going to be answered.
Question for the ages.
Yes, all of them, all of the ages. And Hydra, he's going to go for
Suitable
a 1-Rex
for all
gasless
ages.
fast expand. No real surprise on his part here. Taking a look back on Wellmu's side, nothing really out of the ordinary either. So both these guys going down a pretty predictable path. The real tell, of course, is going to be for Hydra how many barracks does he put down before he double gasses, if any, and for Wellmu, how quickly does he want to go after that expansion?
When units pass through each other as they're traveling across the map, the question is which one of them is alive and which is the ghost.
Ah,
Who's
it's always
dead?
the probe.
Who's alive?
Always the probe. Who's the ghost? My
think
opinion.
so?
Yes.
Well, he's not alive. He is kind of a robot, so I suppose that is true.
It's got that cute little.
That's his little like ghostly tail there.
I like it though. It's so adorable whenever he goes by.
Maybe probes are inhabited by the spirits of zealots that were too dumb to graduate zealot school. They weren't zealous enough. They were like, I guess Ire's okay. They're like no, you have to be like for Ire, and they're like,
My life for Ire. My life.
It's like I can give like maybe my weekend for
maybe
Ire,
like
I guess.
I'll tithe to Ire, but I mean I don't know if I'll give my
maybe.
life for it. It's not a crusade here.
They're like, that's it. When you die, you're a probe.
No.
It's like, okay. All right.
They're okay with it.
It's okay. They're apathetic.
Yeah.
Apathetic Protoss become probes. That's what we've just found out.
Okay, that's good. By clear scientific deductive reasoning.
That's right. That's some StarCraft lore knowledge for you.
There you go. Little did you
You're
know.
welcome.
Wellmu going ahead, double gassing. Could be a Sentry expand here in a bit, although he hasn't added any additional, so this was part of a show to his opponent, of course. Dropping down that second gas, and then, not really mining
Not
all
using
that
it
much
as
off
much,
of
yeah.
it.
Yep, that's right. There are a couple of builds that do involve getting those 2 gases early on and then using only a couple probes there. I remember seeing a couple of those from Squirtle and Parting. And I don't know, it's just the Startail Protoss I've been watching a lot lately. It's they've been the really good ones. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Parting and Squirrel, both top 4 in GSL. That's a pretty good performance, I have to say.
Them and Genius. And, that Stalker, a little bit indecisiveness on Wellmu's part, and that Stalker takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's was an interesting move there. So Stalker takes quite a bit of damage, starts to head back home. SCB does get a pretty good scout on the timing of this next Nexus that's coming up, and Wellmu is just putting down a robotic facility and 2 additional gateways. So a lot of things setting up like it is going to be some sort of a 6-gate Robo-Colossus push, but we'll certainly find out. We see a lot of players that head down this path. The real question is going to be how quickly does he take his 3rd and 4th gases? Is he going to start powering down the rocks and going double forge? I mean, a lot of questions yet to be answered on his side.
Now a lot of the Protoss in Korea right now have really been liking to get that Templar tech early on this map because the wide area is a little bit tougher to use Colossi on. It's easier to kind of have Templar out there to zone out your opponent's forces, kind of force them into positions you want to engage them as a Protoss player. So obviously Wellmu not doing that this game, but it's interesting, kind of bucking the trend that we've seen from Protoss players on Entombed Valley in PvT, so we'll have to see how well it works out for him. He'll get an Observer in there. That'll be nice. It is the build time, of course, for Observers is shorter now, too.
And there it is. Robotics Bay coming down, so I will hold by my prediction. But yes, you are correct. 30-second build time for the Observers now, so you can chrono boost them out incredibly quickly.
And so, Wellmu should be ready for this Observer. I don't think the Observer is going to do too much damage to him.
It is going to be another factory first before engineering bay. So I believe, just want to make sure I'm not an idiot and missed it. No, okay, good to go. Like we saw earlier on in the set.
You didn't go off my observer's not going to do damage comment.
Oh no,
but it was so silly.
Oh, okay.
Just
Well,
left me
maybe
hanging,
he'll just like careen into the command center and blow it up.
Maybe.
There's a little portable
That's what
nuke
we
inside of
need.
observers that no one knows about.
Oh man, if Zerg could infest observers and turn them into Scourge, that would be so cool.
So you could have like exactly
That would
one
be
or two Scourge per game.
Invisible Scourge.
Oh, no, that's just frightening. You can't do that. OP.
Heart of the Swarm.
OP.
Make it happen, Blizz.
Ugh.
Make it happen.
Don't ever make it happen.
It's going to be awesome.
Don't listen to this guy. Hey, Single Forge coming out now for Wellmu, so he is going to be on Colossus Tech pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He also does have that range coming up, so the ones that come out are going to be doubly effective. Of course, that has led him to sacrifice quite a few units at the beginning of the game, as that's his army. But he will be able to make that up very quickly.
Well, hey, he's going to have 1 Sentry, 1 Stalker, and a Colossus now. So
that is true. There it is.
There you go. He's like, hey, guys, can I help?
He just kind of waddles on down through this, almost walked off the cliff.
Trees.
Oh, that's bad for the environment.
Yeah, he's lucky he's missing the branches.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, light those things on fire, man. That's dangerous.
I don't even know how that's possible. No, he's going through that clearly. He is going through that.
Well, alrighty.
It's a resilient tree.
They are, they're not flammable at all.
I'm sorry, Colossus. That's not very good camouflage. We still see you.
No one can see me. I'm a tree. Yeah.
All right. Well, looks like Hydra's going down the same sort of path as well. He's going to knock down indestructible rocks or just injure them.
Well, he wants to get him down, low enough that he can come back and break through easily later, obviously, and then he's going to maybe do a bit of a push here. And his opponent's going to need a few more gateway units. He's got 2 more finishing right now, so he's going to be able to warp some in, but this is, it could be a bit of a tricky timing. He should have enough sentries and Colossi to hold this off no problem, but
now, yeah, I mean,
up his force fields?
We do have a couple of Vikings coming up. If Hydra had actually waited for the couple of Vikings, I could see this being a little bit more successful. As it stands for now, force fields could cut this in half. Oh, we got to watch out, though. Wellmu actually backing up pretty good force fields, though, but unfortunately the Colossi are now exposed. Will he be able to get him away? He's trying to run him up the ramp right now. One is about to fall. The second taking a little bit of damage as well. Here comes Hydra right up the ramp.
Yep, and that's right. And he can split off, take care of these gateway units, and go after the Colossi. The teching was so greedy by Hydra, it could be, or by Wellmu, it could be his undoing.
Hydra just made a big mistake there, though. He had a few units tearing after the Colossus, brought them back for a while, so they took an additional 2 shots, then ran them back into the Colossus, so it was actually able to stand up and take 10 kills in the process. So Hydra could have limited his opponent to just 1 Colossus and a Zealot as his only army, but wasn't able to get it done.
Well, here's the question right now. Will Wellmu be able to get out enough of the gateway backbone for this to be able to hold off the next attack that's coming from Hydra, because this one's going to have Vikings with it. It's going to have more Marines and Marauders. They're going to have +1 as well. So Wellmu in a bit of a predicament right now.
All right. Well, he is starting to warp in a couple more units now, finally, but his economy is looking decent. He is on 57 workers already, still continuing to double produce those as he moves up to his 3rd base. And it looks like Hydra's just going to try and push that down right now, positioning those Vikings over the gap so they can do the maximum possible damage. Will he force a cancel on this? The Nexus is so low. Oh, he just outright kills it.
Yep, and without Stalkers with Blink, without that many Stalkers to begin with, he can just get out of there no problem. Sacrificing those Vikings is not a bad trade at all for a Nexus. That didn't even get canceled. If he would have had his units in a little bit better position, he could have even jumped into the main. So Wellmu dodged a bit of a bullet there. But as it is, the supply's still even, so both players still definitely in this game. Wellmu just a little bit behind here and just in a bit of a risky spot. Again, still with just not a very big gateway composition to support these Colossi.
And Hydra, has he reinvested back into his infrastructure? Most certainly, as he has an additional 3 barracks and another starport on the way now. So he wants to make sure that Colossus count does not get out of hand, as it is already quite large for the time being.
I think we're going to see Terran players add on more starports early on in the future in TVP as well. And part of this actually is addressed again in that article that we were talking about a little bit earlier that EG put out.
Yeah.
One of the things that they talked about was that Puma tends to overmake medevacs to compensate for the huge amount of damage that's coming in from late game Protoss armies. And yeah, that's a great way to play it. I've always liked that. about Puma's TVP, so it's kind of cool to see that mentioned. And with these multiple starports, he can make Vikings and Medivacs at the same time if he wants to, and kind of try to do something similar.
This is the least, or the most,
most scouted drop ever.
Yeah, no kidding. It's actually past 3 individual Protoss units, and surprise, there's a bunch of Stalkers in position that are ready for that. So unfortunately, the Medivac's going to get picked up on, but Whelmio, I've got to say, Whelmio is actually, his army is pretty darn good now. He is on his own 3rd base, and because he was producing workers the entire time, is on pretty much even economy with his opponents. So certainly making the best of that bad situation before with the early damage he took to his army. Yeah,
well, you always say Protoss in a bit of a tenuous situation in the mid-game. It seems like Terran is quite strong there, but, you know, it seems like a lot of Protoss are able to survive it right now. They're able to make the right decisions and get to this position where now, you know, Whelmu should be able to force it into the late game.
Well, Hydra's going to try and push back in. There are a number of Colossi sitting overhead. Still not that many gateway units, though. 11 Stalkers there. Finally, a few more are warped in. Looks like Hydra's just going to try and push it. He's dropping it exactly at the same time at the natural. A few units do get trapped, though, behind some force fields. None of the Colossi have fallen yet. In fact, he just took a little bit of token shield damage. A double drop actually making its way in. Is he going to be able to get the Medivac? Yes, he is. One of those drops does go down. The second is doing a little bit more damage. Hydra going to run through the front, though, and try and focus down the Nexus. And it looks like he's going to get it.
He is totally going to get it, and he's going to pick up all the units he can and get out of there as well. Nice snipe by Hydra, doing a decent amount of damage there with that. Ooh, and he barely saves those Medivacs. Again, you know, I'd rather lose Vikings than Medivacs in this position, certainly.
No kidding.
Especially if they're filled with other units.
So Whelmu's down at base now, and he's still taking damage from the drop. Man. The Forge canceling +2 shields. So well done there once again. Looks like that Medivac finally does go down. And let's take a look at how many workers were killed. 18. So the economic advantage swinging back to our Terran player. And we'll see if this is going to prompt Whelmu into action. He's even running up with a few probes.
Man, Hydra really living up to his namesake with this. He's just coming at Whelmu from all angles. And yeah, Whelmu, I think he's just going to try to go for the win right now. He's like, I don't even want to play against this style. I'm just going to go try to kill him. And that is a pretty terrifying army, too.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see what happens.
Hydra has a pretty good defensive position sitting up here, though, and he's doing all the right things, starting another command center, making sure that he's going to be in the best position possible to receive this. But that is a lot of Stalkers. He could buffer some damage with the probes as well. In fact, blinks to the side there. The Vikings are starting to go through the Colossi pretty quickly, now finally being focused down. The force field zoning out quite a few units there. It was mostly the probes that were taking damage more than anything else. Well, we're going to continue to walk through those. No, actually, sacrifices all of his sentries there, but he will be able to get a base in return.
That's right, but he really needs to kill the command center with those. If he doesn't kill the command center, it's still not going to be all that valuable. I mean, Hydra really can't engage. It looks like Whelmu has the upper hand, but I don't know, this game still could go either way. And you know what? Look at that. All the SCVs living too.
All right, well, let's see here now as it's 58 workers to 63, so Whelmu has been diligent about making those. In the meantime, looks like he's going to focus down the only bunker that's sitting there. Yeah, pretty good concave for Hydra sitting around the side, but the Zealots are now finally making their way up and starting to engage pretty well. And again, these Colossi have not been touched, so they're sitting in the back, ranging out quite a bit of stuff here. There are mostly the meaty Marauders that are left. One of the Colossi finally gets itself a little bit too far forward and does go down.
Good blink, but look at that. Another round of reinforcement ready to go, and I think Hydra may have this here. He's just got so many units, and he's in a position where he can reinforce, where his opponent really has a harder time doing that.
That is true, but there's still one Colossus remaining now, and all the Vikings have fallen. Pretty good blink micro from Whelmu as well, and it's just mostly Medivacs that are sitting overhead. One Medivac for each of those Marauders that's making its way down. Finally, the last Colossus does go down, but that does sacrifice the rest of the bio units that were sitting out there for Hydra. So now a 30 worker advantage for Whelmu. He's up by 50 supply overall. His opponent is just on 2 bases.
Yeah. What an incredibly bold move by Whelmu to bring all those probes along with that attack too. And wow, just really surprising. You almost never see a game really go like this. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, let's see now as looks like Hydra really has to start getting some mining done as that supply disadvantage is continuing to increase. Whelmu's starting to produce quite a few units back at home, back up to that 61 worker level as well. So his mining is pretty great. He's adding on additional gateways. Could take another base here in a bit as well, but of course, certainly does have the production advantage now.
I don't think I've ever seen a Protoss player pull just a ton of probes like that and just kind of go for it. I mean, it's pretty common in Terran versus, X matchups to pull some SCVs to go along with it, but probes generally aren't quite as good in terms of fighting units, but worked out pretty well there. I mean, it worked out as kind of a fill for lacking gateway units, and Wellmu did just a ton of damage with that. I'm still a little bit surprised that was as successful as it was. The high Colossus count certainly helped quite a bit, but that was a surprising result from that.
Well, Wellmu looking pretty good now, and potentially could force an ace match here, which would be
quite possible.
Very, very cool. I mean, that'd be one heck of a comeback there for Eclipsia, especially, we talked about before, this is a much changed Eclipsia.
Yeah.
They do not have the Slog, Artist, Scarlet, Desro, so 4 pretty big name players are no longer with the team, so
yep.
They've had to rally back now just on the back of the remaining players.
Yeah. Looks like Wellmu's getting ready to possibly move out again fairly soon. Wants to make sure that his 4th base is secure before anything else. And I love how Wellmu just has pylons and units just everywhere to spot these drops, too.
Yeah, it looks like he will be able to pick up on this one.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Hydra's going to move across the map, but that force looks pitifully small compared to what's sitting here.
And I think that's going to work out.
Never to mind those 13 Stalkers off to the side.
Yep, and that medevac is pretty much doomed if the Stalkers decide to blink. And
oh, wait, where did the Stalkers go? Oh, I was watching his vision because I wanted to see the epic blink in, but yeah, they moved away.
They thought they missed it, actually.
Huh.
Interesting. All right.
Entertaining.
Well, I guess the medevac's not going to die. There goes some drama we were expecting. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wellmu.
Yeah. This is a pretty good time, though, for Wellmu to start moving out as Hydra was kind of pulled away.
Yeah.
Looks like he's just going to feign at that, though, and start moving back now. Here comes the drop finally, and Wellmu should be able to pick up on this. Hopefully warping a couple of units. Actually moving a lot of his units off to the side for now as one Marine was dropped down by itself.
Yep. And this drop's not going to do a whole lot. As we can see, he's going to jump over into the main if he lives.
Oh!
Man, that was close. He can target down that Twilight Council if he wants to. No, he's going to get the Forge first, preventing that +3 armor.
Yeah, it looks like he will be able to get it, but it's only about 65, 70 seconds through, so not the worst loss in the world, but he hasn't completely cleaned this up. Okay, there we go. Cancels a Forge, and finally warps in some Zealots to take care of that.
Yeah. All right, Wellmu's had enough. He's moving across the map, which is with what is probably an unbeatable army for Hydra.
Yeah, he is now maxed. He's got a fair number of Colossi behind this. He's on very good upgrades. Hydra, on the other hand, he's just getting his +3 armor now. So here we go. The Stalkers moving forward. The Zealots are actually kind of moving through a little bit slow, so not the best possible engagement for Wellmu, but he has so much stuff, it just doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, a bit of a sloppy engagement, but like you said, it's just too much right now for Hydra to handle.
And looks like the last of those units are going to go down. He force fields out a few more, and the Marauders are all going to die in their little prison. GG, well played. Wow. Eclipsia takes yet another game, and they have tied it up. We're going to game number 9.
I know. I'm surprised, but pleasantly surprised as well. Eclipsia's other players really, really showing their stuff in this one.